And it's gonna be kind of a squatty, fat pumpkin because this is a 6x12. So we're gonna just squish it in to fit it onto this canvas. So yeah. So the first thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna do a white pumpkin and I'm gonna accent it with some grays. So I just have white, just Anita's white, just craft store paint, Anita's white. And I have 2 grays, a dark gray, which is this one here, which is Gray Storm. And I have Cable Knit Gray, which is this lighter gray. So I'm gonna paint my pumpkin in white, and then we're gonna come in and accent it with, yeah, you better get your paint today. Go on the Hobby Lobby website and order it online. Order it online if you can't get to the store today because they close at 8, which is like just in a few minutes. So I'm gonna start with my big old Mama Jama brush. This is just a 3/4 inch flat. And so I'm just gonna go in, it's already damp, already dampened it. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna start. You can see that I kind of sketched it out because I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. So I just used a pencil to sketch it out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting the white on. So I'm gonna paint all my little pumpkin sections white. I don't know why I'm trying to stay in the line because, you know, who cares? Right, it's all white. You stay off that stem a little. So we're gonna paint it white and then we're gonna come in and fancy it up a little. I like to work fast when I'm doing something like this because we're gonna work wet on wet, shading and highlighting our pumpkin. So we're not gonna let each layer dry and then do the next. We're gonna do it all at the same time. Be fancy. So let's get this side. And this is just white, guys. I know it's hard to tell when you're painting white on a white canvas, but just bear with me, right? Next week is probably the week when nothing you want's on sale. That's how it goes. It's like, what? We'll do this big old fat section here, and then we'll come in and we'll start really sloppily. We're not going to do any fancy technique. Outlining and bringing in some more color. Okay, so we have a section, section, section. All right, so kind of know where I'm going. Now I'm gonna leave this brush dirty. I just offloaded some of the whites and I'm gonna just use it just like it is. So the first thing I'm gonna come in and do is go into the lightest of the grays, just with the corner of my brush. And then I'm just gonna offload a little back and forth to kind of blend it into the bristles. And I'm gonna come back here and I'm just going to outline my pumpkin again. All right, on one side. All right, I'm gonna go back in again, get a little more of that on my brush. And we're going to come over here and outline that side of it on that one. We're gonna darken up that line a little bit too. We'll do this one. Fix that up a little. I'm gonna go into the gray again, back and forth. We're gonna come over here, outline this a little. One more time. Little gray, the lightest gray. We're gonna come here, outline this side, kind of hit the top of that. All right, I'm gonna hit the top of that one a little. So basically I'm just getting a little bit of color on my pumpkin because, you know, it has to stand out. I'm gonna rinse my brush. And now I'm gonna go in to this darker gray just a little bit on a clean brush. And I'm gonna go back and just add a little bit more color in a couple of places. So I'm gonna come in here on this second little section of the pumpkin. I'm gonna just darken that up a little, where it's creating a shadow from its own little sections. We'll just add some sloppy color. Nothing too fancy. So I'm gonna get in here again, the darkest. And I'm gonna do a little more up here. A little more. Oops, kind of got into there, but that's all right. Just accentuate that a little. We'll come down here. Really want this pumpkin to pop. We're gonna do some seriously fun color on the background too, so stick around for that because that's gonna be super cool, I hope. You know, in my head it's super cool, but that don't mean it will be. All right, I'm just gonna rinse that again just to moisten my brush a little. And I think I'm gonna come back over here. So our little stem is gonna come down into our pumpkin a little, like right here. So I wanna add a little color there where the stem is gonna come out. We'll add that back in. I'm gonna add some more here. And don't try to be perfect. You notice I'm like being a little messy. I'm not trying to like have perfect, nice, beautiful lines. I'm being super messy about it. And I'm gonna probably come back with a little white and clean up a little bit. But 100% don't stress about every little line. Because to me, I think the more abstract and fun it is, the better it looks. So that's just my opinion. We'll go back into that dark gray again, both sides, back and forth. Then I think I will do the same thing over here. Let's just pull some of that dark gray down. And we'll bring some out over here too. All right. Kind of messy. This brush is just soaking up the water. A little bit more of that dark gray one more time. I'm gonna come down here. Just adding in shadows. That's all I'm doing. That's why I put it on the corner of my brush, because if I covered the whole bristle, then it would just, you know, it'd be like painting something. And this is shadowing, so we only want that color right on the tip, right on that corner. All right, I'm gonna come right up in here on this last piece and see if we can sneak some of that up in there. All right, I'm gonna stick that in the water. I'm gonna get a little bit smaller brush. Let's wet that, offload. Y'all are so funny. Y'all are killing me, man. I'm gonna get a little bit of white and just clean up a couple of places where it's kind of harsh. So I'm just gonna come back in. Anywhere it's kind of bugging me or I got out of place, because I get out of place. Just clean that up a little, make sure we have some highlights. Dip in, highlight, dip in. Let's do highlight, We'll come over here, do a little highlight at the top. That's kind of like where the light is kind of shining down on your pumpkin. And we'll do that here too. All right, I think we're golden. So before I move on to, is this not cute? I mean, uh-oh, hang on. The iPhone is saying low battery. Let me plug in. Hang on, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Isn't that cool? I mean, it doesn't have to be hard. A lot of times instructors will make it harder than it has to be, but this is just a really tone-on-tone, a tone-on-tone black and gray pumpkin, but we are about to change that because we're gonna do something crazy. I hope it turns out. If it doesn't, I will cry and then we'll let it dry and paint over it. But I am going to use some black. Actually, since I have this dark charcoal on my plate, I'm gonna use it and not use black. But the other color I'm gonna use is Americana Heritage Brick because I want the outside edge, and I might use a little yellow too. I want it to look like it's rusty, like a rusty orangey yellow. So let's see what happens. Hold your breath. This may be good and it may be a disaster. I cannot make any promises. This is yellow ochre. Put a little bit of this on our plate. I'm holding my breath because this pumpkin is super cute. And I'm actually going to use the darker color on the bottom, and then we'll add the rust color here. But I don't want to do my stem or my little curly cues until I get the background on. So I'm going to use this lighter brush, or this smaller brush of the two. It's just like a 1/2 inch flats. Oh, Maddie, I'm sure you're being self-critical because we do that all the time. Oftentimes when I paint something, I think this is a hot mess. And I always just pray that if I create a hot mess, that I don't create it live on the Facebook. Okay, so our little stem is gonna go right here. So I wanna make sure, hold your breath. Look what we're doing, guys. I'm gonna add a little yellow. I don't like that yellow, but I'm gonna do the red, or the whatever this is, and then we'll figure it out. Looks like fire. Yeah, I'm sure some of you are going, oh my God, she's ruining it. She's ruining it. I'm gonna add a little black to my palette, and this is how I paint, guys, when nobody's looking. I just go with the flow and then change things up as I'm going, so you're getting a good taste of that. So try not to judge me too harshly. So I'm gonna get really close right up to the edge of our pumpkin. Ooh. We'll fix that up too. I know that was tough. And I will paint my sides as well, but I'm not going to take the time to do them right here. I'm just going to keep painting this orangey red. I may throw in, I got a couple of colors over here I can use. This one is called Persimmon. I don't know if I'm going to use that yet. I'm just going to keep painting my background, and y'all can tell me what you think. Okay, I'm just gonna go this way. I'm gonna sneak right up to next to my pumpkin. Well, I saw a pumpkin somewhere online, I couldn't remember, and it was a beautiful pumpkin, and it was painted on an actual piece of tin, like, you know, roof tin or something, and I wanted it so bad, but it was already sold. I think it was on Etsy maybe. It It was already sold, so I couldn't have it. And I thought, well, I'll just paint me a pumpkin. I'm gonna flip this upside down. I know it's upside down to you guys, but it's just gonna be easier for me to do it this way. Get right up next to, is my head in the camera? You know what, Rachel? Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But when you're painting, when your subject matter is light and your background is dark, sometimes it's best to do it this way, because if we painted our canvas this dark, rusty red and then came back to paint these white pumpkins on top, it would take 20 coats of white to cover that up. So we're gonna do it backwards. And anybody who follows me can attest that I rarely do anything right. I'm not very good at doing things the way maybe they were supposed to be done. One more side. This is, I got it hidden. Got it hidden, Richard. So we're just going to get right down to that line I drew, because we're going to paint that in a darker color. That's going to be like the table that the pumpkin is sitting on. All right, so cool beans, look. So now this is starting to dry, which I like, but I'm going to come in and give it a little bit more color. I want a little bit more of this brick. And then I think we're going to blend in some orange and yellow as well. I want to get this solid colored though. It is Rima, or whoever asked that, Joanne, it's Heritage Brick, Americana. Let me get it a little bit more color on, especially around the center parts. And then I'm gonna come in and I think I'm gonna offload, get a little of that orange on. Oh, I like that. I like that. Something's trying to get on me. So I'm digging the orange. So we'll just kind of blend some of that in. And then we're gonna sneak in a little bit of that gray too, or some brown. Let's see, come back over here. Just a little bit of that orange on my brush and just blend it in. You can see it's just kind of haphazard. There's no right or wrong way. Just kind of just get it on. Don't over blend it into your orangey color or red color. So let's just keep going. Just keep on keeping on. This is super cool. I'm digging this. Digging this rich background. All right, back to the orange, which is persimmon. Ooh, that was excessive. And don't be afraid to let some of your brush strokes show, or to have like a really orangey part. It's perfectly fine. Digging it. Offload. Might add in just a tiny, I'm gonna clean that brush, actually. I'm gonna get a tiny bit of that yellow, and let's see again how that works out. Just in a couple of spots. I think it kind of blends in and turns to mud a little, so I think we'll skip that. So let's rinse. And I am going to kind of do some of the same shading like we did on the pumpkins. I'm gonna go with my brush and I'm gonna just hit a corner into that black. And I'm gonna just kind of hit or miss, that was too much, around my pumpkin a little, just to shadow it in a couple of spots. So I'm just going right around and see how, whoops, almost make the mess. Uh-oh, that was too much on my brush, but we'll fix it. See how and this will come together once we have all of the pieces. So don't freak out yet. I'm gonna take this gray, which is the darkest gray. It's called Gray Storm. And I am gonna come down here and we're gonna create a little bit of a table. Not too much water in my brush. Are y'all liking this? Are you liking it? Oh my gosh, what is happening in my life? Hang on one second. Everything in here says low battery. So I gotta figure this out. What is happening? Okay, hopefully we won't die. Well, if the other one dies, it'll be fine. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of fill in the bottom area with this gray, and then we'll highlight it with a little black too, give it some dimension so it doesn't look like it's just flat. I can't talk while I'm doing this. I have to hold my mouth right. You know how that works. It's like you're trying to be super careful. It's like you have to hold your mouth right. Ooh. All right, keep going. I know this is a little bit tedious, but it is going to be worth it in the end. I promise. Ooh, see, it's hard for me not to talk. Ugh. Okay, so there is our Gray Storm on the bottom. So I'm going to take a little bit of this black and highlight it. I'm going to take a little on my corner. I don't know if you can see my plate. A little on my corner, just using the same dirty brush. And we're going to just make a line across and create a little shadow under our pumpkin. Can you see there what we're doing? That little bit of black. Okay, so we'll do it again. Just get a little on our brush, offload. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna add that little bit of black. Ooh, I have to be quiet. Hard for me to be quiet. Almost done. Move on to the stem, or to the top, whatever. And a little more black. Come right here. Come around our little pumpkin. So it really makes it look more 3D, and it just brings it to life a little. One more time, right here at the line between the colors. So you can see how just adding that little bit of black to the bottom kind of makes it pop. So I'm gonna rinse a little. And trying to decide how much, let me see. I think I'm gonna add just a teeny bit more black to one side. of my pumpkin, like right here, just as a shadow. And then I'm gonna rinse again, and I may do something super crazy. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna take the orange just on the corner, and let's see what happens if we do this. Let's do the highlights with the orange right around the left side. We may need the yellow. Let's try the yellow. Well, I think that's gonna work. I'm gonna turn it upside down. It'll just be easier for me. I don't know if you guys do this. Do you turn, when you're painting, you turn your piece back and forth? So let me do this. Let me see. Let's hit a little bit of yellow right around that edge. Let me see how I like that. I'll have to hold it up and kind of get a visual. Well, I kind of do like that. See, a lot of that darkness is gonna go away, but I'm kind of digging that, guys. What do you think so far? Super cool. And don't worry about the edges. Once we're done, I'll go back and paint those, and I'll just paint them like the brick red color and then the black on the bottom. No big deal. But let's go ahead and work on the stem. And we are actually going to use this for the stem, but he's just going to be the top part. So we'll need to add in like this, the growth that goes down into the pumpkin. And then we'll add maybe a leaf, and we will add some little curly cues. So I'm actually going to start with, I think I'm gonna, I don't know. I'm gonna start with green, I think, and then we'll brown it up a little. So I'm gonna put some green. This is avocado. And I'm gonna put some burnt umber, which is like a chocolate brown. I have to take a drink. My throat is so dry. Southern girls and sweet tea. So I know my stem is gonna go right about there. So I'm going to leave it there and then do the rest of my stem accordingly. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my green first, just because I know it probably should be brown, but we're gonna go with the green first since this part of my stem is green. And I'm just going to bring it in to my pumpkin. We'll color that in right up to where that glass piece is. Get a little bit more. And I don't want it to be perfect. You see how I've made like a perfect little line? So I'm gonna jag it up a little. I'm gonna make it a little more organic and real looking, because nothing in nature is that straight and perfect. All right, so we're gonna go back into some green, and we're gonna come around, and we're gonna bring our stem down around this section. We'll fatten it up a little. That's starting to come to life. I'm gonna do one more little stem, just like right here on the outside edge of that little section. All right, and maybe just right here too. Just a little something. All right, so now I'm gonna rinse that and get some brown. I'm gonna get some brown, and I'm gonna kind of do the same thing. I'm just gonna go over the top and just brown it up a little in a couple of places, and then we'll add some white too to highlight. I don't want it to be all one color. And I'll show you this close up and personal in just a second. I know it's kind of hard to see, when somebody's painting like something this small. Let me go back into my brown. And just kind of following along the green area with the brown on top. And now I'll rinse again. And one more thing is white. I'm going to get a tiny bit of white, just barely any, on my brush, and I'm going to highlight some areas. A little bit of white, and we'll throw some highlight just right in to that wet paint. Super cool. Kind of makes it pop and makes it kind of 3D. I think I need a little bit more brown on this one piece. See, I'm so into what I'm doing, I'm not even looking at the comments, so I apologize. And if somebody has a question I've missed, hopefully we'll get back to that. But this is just super fun. All right, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. I want to make sure that my stem is kind of connected to my little glass piece. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm going to show you this up close. So look at what we've done. Look at that. Is that not cool? I can't find myself in the camera there. Can you guys see how cool that looks? Okay, so the next thing I think I want to do is add a leaf. And I think I'm going to add it over here, and then we'll do some curlies over this way. Trying to decide. Leaves make me nervous, but I'm going to use this smaller brush. I'm going to use this smaller brush. It's like a 1/4 inch. It's a number 8 flat. And I'm making myself a little nervous. I'm going to turn this a little bit because I want the leaf coming out like this, and we'll carry it into the pumpkin a little. I'm going to use my green, but then we'll come back and brown it up a little. So I think they're kind of heart-shaped, so we're going to go like a heart, and then we'll muck it up. So I think we'll do that. We'll fill it in like a coloring book. And then we will fix it up a little. Make it wiggly. Leaves and faces, eyeballs, not fun for me. So we're going to whip that into shape a little. And then while that's still wet, I'm going to offload some of that green. I'm going to go right into my brown. And we're going to brown that leaf up on one side. And brown it up right over the top of that green. Wipe it off. I'm going to get some whites, run it into my brush, and I'm going to bring white in on this side, blend right in with that wet green. Wipe it off. I'm going to come back and do some more brown. I don't know. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, guys. A little more brown. All right, what do you think? Is that good enough for an amateur leaf maker? Okay, so now we need, obviously, a stem to go from our leaf to our pumpkin stem. And I'm going to go with the brown. I'm just going to load up this liner brush, and I'm going to take it just fat and then let up to be skinny right to our pumpkin stem. Then wipe that off. I'm going to come back with a little green right on top and white right on top again. All right, I think I'm happy with that. But I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna get a little bit of paint on my black on my brush, just a tiny, tiny bit. And I'm just gonna come in here and just skip along and make some little leaf skeleton. Just a few lines. Nothing too fancy. Just something to give it a true leaf look. So what do you think? Is that golden? Is that good so far? I'm so freaked out. All right, so I'm gonna get a new brush because I want it to be super clean. Because I want to straighten up a couple of these lines. So I'm gonna go into my white. I'm just gonna straighten up this line a little. That's better. So I'm looking up at the camera in front of me so I can see what kind of needs attention, and it needs it over here. So I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna straighten up this line a little. Just using white. We can come back with a little gray if we need to. Yeah, so don't be afraid to make mistakes because you can always fix them. I mean, it's just paint after all, right? It is just paint. And if you make a mess, just walk away, let it dry, and then come back when it's dry and mess with it again. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to do that my own self. So, and I've been painting a very long time. I'm pretty sure I came out of the womb painting. And I make boo-boos all the time. Just remember, you're a human, and this is not manufactured art. This is handmade. So give yourself some grace. OMJ. Do you love this? Oh my goodness. I love it so much. Okay, I'm gonna put my little stem aside. Holy moly, guys. Oh my, this is definitely something you should be sprinkling with some love. Okay, so I want to do just some little curly cues, and then we're gonna move on with our lives. Can't get this sucker to stay in the water. So I'm just gonna use a little liner brush, just a little skinny liner. I'm gonna put this back up here so I know where he's going. And I'm gonna go into this dark brown. It needs to be a little more inky, so I'm gonna add a little water to my brush. And we're just gonna do a line like coming right out, and we'll squiggle it because it's not perfect, and then we'll come around and like that, digging it. We'll let it dry, and then we'll add a little something to it. And I think we'll do one like right here too. Let's get some more on our brush. And we'll come in, we'll do like right here. We'll come around, right down to the end. That was a little fat, so we'll take it out. All right, now I'm gonna come back with a little bit of black just to darken that up a little on that dark surface. So I'm just gonna barely touch in a couple of places some of this black. And then we will do the white to really make it pop. Does that make sense while you're doing that? While we're doing that, just to kind of give it a 3D look. Because nothing in nature is one solid color. All right, let's go into a little bit of white. I need some water on my brush. A little bit of white. And we'll hit that just barely on, that was excessive, but we're gonna leave it on one side. Just kind of give it a little extra. And I'm skipping around. I'm not doing every square inch. All right, so I'm happy with that. Happy, almost. I might add one more little bit of something to this really dark line here. All right, now I'm happy. All right, look how cute. Even I love this more than you could ever know. I stinking love this. So we're gonna resin this as well. I'm not gonna add any additional glass other than this because I don't think it needs it. I really don't. I love it just the way it is, but I am gonna do one thing, one simple thing if I can find my pen. I like to line things, and you've seen other artists line things with a liner brush, but I have some pretty severe arthritis in my hands, and it's really hard for me to make perfectly wonderful straight lines with an artist brush. So I like to use these little archive quality paint pens, or this is just it's called a Pigma Micron Archival ink, and they come in several different brands. This is just the one I grabbed, and I'm just gonna use this to give it one more teeny bit of detail. And I'm gonna do that by just taking my pen and outlining. Uh-oh, this one's dead. Hang on, new pen please. Let me find it. Where are ya? That ain't it. That's not it, that's not it. Oh, here it is. So this is a different brand. It's called a Graphic, but it's the same type of thing. It's just gonna give me a little line. Okay, so I'll show you what it does. I'm just gonna use this pen to outline short bursts of line and I'll do one section of pumpkin, and then I'll do the next section, and I'll skip the other section so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of short bursts of line with my little black. This is a black marker. One more, over here. So I'm just kind of outlining and giving it that one little bit of detail. All right, see, I don't know if you can tell and see any of those lines I made. All right, so I'm gonna do this side of the pumpkin, short burst, just a couple of lines. Boom, boom. And I'll do this side. So can you tell the difference in, let me pull it back. On this side, you see my little black lines that really make the sections of the pumpkin pop out, just that tiny bit of detail. And over here, there are none. So it's just that tiny bit of detail I super love. Yes, Vicki, it's kind of like a little finishing touch. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do, and I'm not drawing like a line. I'm just scooping my pen around. And I'm not even doing the whole section, just a short burst here and there. We'll do there. I like doing dot, dot, dot too. that, and we're done. Okay? So that's how that ends up. It just makes, it's just that little detail that makes it, I think. Okay, so everything in my studio keeps saying low battery. I'm gonna just swap back and forth. So we're gonna go ahead and resin, and the only glass we're gonna be using is this little piece. And yes, it does protrude off the canvas a little bit, but we're gonna put a lot of resin on that, so it'll hopefully be fine. And guys, I'm only gonna make 1/2 ounce of resin, and that's probably too much. If you were gonna make 2 or 3 of these, 1/2 ounce would do that fine, okay? Because the only glass we're gonna cover is our little bit, this little stringer thing we have here. And then we're just gonna rub out the rest. So I am going to just dump part A, 1/2 ounce or 1/4 ounce of part A into 1/4 ounce of part B, resin and hardener, because the cup will hold plenty. This cup will hold a 1/2 ounce for sure. So I'm gonna dump all this into 1 cup. Ugh. Scrape all the goodness out. You throw that away. And then I'm gonna mix in this cup. So somebody, it's dry. It's completely dry. Well, mostly because it's hotter than the gates of hell in my studio. I think this is a little small for this applicator. So I'm gonna grab a stir stick. I just dumped my brushes out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm gonna mix for 3 minutes. Yes, Cynthia, I am gonna do my sides, but I'm not doing them tonight. I'm not gonna get resin on my sides, so I'm gonna just wait and paint them tomorrow because it's just a gross waste of time when everybody is just waiting on me to finish. So I'm gonna be super cautious about not getting resin on the sides, and then I'll paint that tomorrow after the resin's dry. But if you were doing this at home, you definitely want to paint the sides before you resin in case you get drippage. So stir, stir, stir for 3 minutes. Thank you, Colette. Girlfriend. So while I'm doing this, guys, if you're interested in our 5-day sunflower challenge, I'm gonna show it to you real quick while I'm stirring. I'm just gonna lay it down so you can see what I'm talking about. This is our sunflower challenge piece. We're gonna start on this on Tuesday. It's a $10 registration fee for step-by-step directions. We do it live in our own special Facebook group, our Sunflower Challenge Facebook group. And if you're interested in information about our challenge and or to join us, we would love for you to do that. Just comment the word link, LINK, and we will send you over via Facebook Messenger some information for you to find out what it is all about. It's a $10 registration, 5 days of step-by-step tutorial live on Facebook, but it's all recorded as well. So if you miss a day or if you can't do it next week and want to wait till January of next year, you have plenty of time because you have, once you pay the registration fee, you have always access to these videos. So you can make it with us, and then you can make another one next month and another one next year, or you can just make them when you want. Yeah, these medicine cups I bought on Amazon, 500 for I don't know how much. I bought them 100 years ago. But yeah, they last forever. So comment the word link if you'd like more information about this sunflower challenge. We are going to start on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, and we're going to work 5 days step by step on how to create this super texture and how to antique it and paint it and do all the things to make it beautiful. And on day 5, if you so choose, thank you, Colette. If you so choose, you can add glass and resin to the center of your sunflower and finish it off that way, or you can leave it just like it is if you do not want to add glass or beads or seeds or whatever. So anyway, that's our sunflower challenge. I got you, Colette. That's our sunflower challenge. We'd love to have you just comment the word link, and we will send you some information. We're going to start on Tuesday, so time is running out. I'm going to put my gloves on, and I'm going to knock that over, and then I'm going to be sad. This piece is spectacular. I love it more than you could ever imagine. So I'm gonna move this off of here real quick because I'm gonna use this to spread. I'm gonna just pour some resin onto my canvas, and I'm gonna use this little silicone applicator to spread my resin, being super careful not to get on my edges because I gotta paint those tomorrow. But I'm pretty good at that. I've had a lot of practice doing Facebook Lives and skipping the sides. So I'm gonna get that real close to the edge. We're gonna cover this with resin, and look how the color starts to pop. Once you put the resin on there, the color really pops out. I'm gonna rub my hand right on that edge. Okay, let's spread it this way. So pretty. This may be my favorite pumpkin ever, and I thought Crazy Pumpkin was, but this one may have Crazy Pumpkin beat. Maybe, maybe, maybe. A little bit more. Spread it around, cover the whole canvas, and then we'll come back and add our little stem because I'm gonna saturate it first. Oh my goodness, this is special. This is so special. All right, so we got all of that covered. I'm gonna pop my edges just a little bit to make sure that doesn't go over. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my little stem and I'm gonna pour, actually what I'm gonna do, I think, let me throw that away before I get sticky. I'm just going to dip my fingers in this resin with my gloves, and I'm gonna rub resin all over this little stick. I wanna cover it really nicely on all sides. All right, so it's really nice and covered. Then I'm gonna place it right on my canvas where I want it to be. Make sure it's down really good. Oh my goodness. I can't even. And then I'm gonna just take my little applicator and I'm gonna drizzle right on top of that just to make sure it's covered really nice. And you could have totally done more than one with a ½ ounce of resin. Hang on. I don't wanna get resin on my phone. You could have totally done more than one with a ½ ounce of resin. I probably have a 1/4 ounce, a little bit less than that left. So this took a little over a 1/4 ounce of resin. I'm gonna stick this somewhere so I don't make a mess. And I'm gonna take my gloves off. Oh my goodness. Let me get these gloves off. They're a mess. It's, you know what? It is fragile, but not as fragile as you think once you put resin on it. Now you wouldn't want to pick it up by that thing. And it's only sticking up off the canvas about a ½ inch on the end. So it's pretty secure. I do see a little bit of fuzz of some sort, a little peach fuzz or something right there. I'm going to pick that off with a little skewer. And let's see, I want to make sure I don't have any debris. Oh my God, y'all, this is mine. This is mine. Okay, so now I'm gonna pop my bubbles using a little torch. Yes, Rachel, it's a silicone applicator. You can use a heat gun for this or a blow dryer. You do not have to use a torch. A lot of my circle members use like a little creme brulee torch. But OMG. That's it. Just a little bit of heat to pop those bubbles. And I'm going to show you this up close and personal. Holy moly. Look. Can you see the stem? Let me find it in the center. That is so pretty. I'm going to take a picture so you can really see it close up. I adore this so much. Yeah, do you use a heat gun, Jackie? Yeah. You can use a blow dryer on low air, high heat, or a heat gun, or one of those little creme brulee torches. They're like $12 on Amazon or something. But look at that. This might be my favorite piece ever.